this royal visit is significant for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it's the first royal visit by the new sovereign. So this is the first visit that Charles has made since his accession to the throne in September 2022. And in fact, it's also, I think, only the second overseas visit that he's made as king, the last being to France for the D-Day ceremonies in the European summer in June. So this is a big deal. And it's a big deal not just for Australia, but also for the king, who, of course, is making a royal visit in very much, following in the footsteps, the huge footsteps of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. So although it's the 17th visit of Charles to Australia, as the first visit as king, it's really a big deal for him, and he will want it to go as well as possible. We saw an indication of the way that Charles wishes his reign to be seen in the festivities around the coronation, particularly at the end, the very informal kind of street parades, dancing, music involving community groups and members of the public, particularly British people, was very much part of Charles's mission to show himself as a people's monarch. He really wants to be seen as empathetic, as someone who is not all about airs and graces, who's not as formal as his mother, and who wishes to be seen as someone who can connect with ordinary people and the incredible struggles that many people around the world, but particularly in the Commonwealth, as well as Britain itself, face. So that's very much the way that he wants to put a stamp on his monarchy. However, he is also an elderly man now, and a man who, as we now know, is managing cancer. And that puts a whole nother level of complexity into the way that he can connecting with people as much as he would wish. So I think it's a great challenge to Charles. And of course, the other challenge he faces is that I think the world we live in is even more complex. And there are so many more things that people within the Commonwealth and within Britain are worried about that perhaps people didn't need to worry about or weren't as worried about during the previous reign. It has long been the case, at least since the 19th century and the time of the reign of Queen Victoria, that the British monarch has positioned themselves, whether fairly or unfairly, rightly or wrongly, as someone who is empathetic with the position of Indigenous people and who is there as a sounding board, a person to listen to their concerns. And certainly we have seen groups of Indigenous people appeal directly to the British monarch for justice. Not necessarily with a great deal of success, but nevertheless, there is this idea that appealing directly to the monarch is an appropriate forum and that the British monarch is there to listen. So during this visit, we can see that Charles and Camilla will be, again, listening quite deliberately to Indigenous Australians. They will be, for example, visiting the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Memorial as part of the Australian their visit to Canberra. They will be meeting with Indigenous groups. But I think the key here is listening. I think that we won't see the monarch making any broad or really important statements. It's more about listening to the concerns of Indigenous Australians.